Hey there, we're Chris and Melissa Smith of FamilyBrand.com, husband and wife, parents of 5, and we want to help you unleash the power of your family.
And we know it can be so challenging raising a family, where the return on investment is unmeasured and sometimes it feels like your efforts are completely unnoticed. It takes real courage and commitment and a long-term vision for what you are building. You're building a family.
And as entrepreneurs, we always think it's so interesting how your brand at home is the one that you think about the least. But at the end of your life, it will be the brand that matters the most. And look, none of us want to wake up one day feeling like, man, we missed it. Like we missed this opportunity to create something really amazing as a family.
So what you can expect from us are actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to become a better parent, a better spouse, and to build a stronger family. The world needs strong families now more than ever, and it starts right here with your family.
Hello, it's me, just Melissa this week. I realized that we have so many amazing things coming up with Family Brand, and I don't do a great job telling you about them here on the podcast. And so I want to take the first few minutes of the podcast and tell you about all the things that we have to strengthen your family that you have available to you. And you may know about some of them, you may not know about others, but I've never really told you about all of them all in one place. And I realized that a couple weeks ago when Lex, who's on my team, she created an Instagram post for me. And in the Instagram post, it was like, ways you can level up in your family this summer. And she listed them all out, all the things that we offer families. And I was like, dang, we do have some cool stuff that we offer families. But even just for me, seeing it all in one place, it was impactful. And I don't know, I just thought it would be meaningful for me to tell you about it. And then at the end, I'm going to tell you about this thing we experimented with our teenagers this week about their screen time. So I'm going to tease that here. That's coming at the end, where I'm going to tell you something that really worked for us this week when we were talking in their check-ins about screen time. Okay, so there are 5 ways that a family brand can help and serve your family. And I'm going to tell you about all 5 of them. The first one, if you're listening to this, you're already doing it, is the free podcast that we put out every single week. And if I do say so myself, we have incredible guests and incredible conversations. Just a couple weeks ago, I had a family that messaged Chris that we don't know. I don't think we've ever met in real life. And they said, your podcast saved our marriage. And Chris and I love doing the podcast. We feel like I just feel like so privileged that we get to have these conversations with these cool guests. And then we get to like pour our heart and soul into these episodes. So thank you. Thank you for being here and supporting the podcast. I haven't had a good podcast cry in a while, so I guess there it is. It just all of a sudden struck me like, it is super cool that I get to do this. I love that I get to do the podcast. So thank you. And if the podcast has impacted you or if you've learned anything, like please share it with someone that you think could benefit from it. Which is how that family I mentioned earlier, a friend shared our podcast with them and it changed, in their words, it changed their lives and saved their marriage. So please continue to share and join us in this effort to build strong families. Okay, that was the first one, is the podcast. The second one is we have a guide called Take Back Your Family's Time. And this was created in a direct response to me asking the question on social media and just when I'm out in the world. And the question is, what is the biggest challenge facing families today? And very often I'll get some version of, we're just so busy. We want to be more intentional, but we just don't have time, or we're just too busy to have fun as a family anymore, or something around time. And so we created this Take Back Your Family's Time guide. And it's $27, and it will walk you through exactly how to evaluate your time and the way that you're spending it with your family. How to figure out what is the best use of your time. And it's done in a way where it's very personalized to you. I'm not going to be telling you, well, this is what you should be doing, and this is how much time you should be doing. It's just a framework that you get to plug your life into and decide for yourself how you want to spend your time. Take back your family's time. And I also added a bonus in there a few months ago, which is, I think we call it the Take Back Your Family's Time guide, the fun time edition, which is how to schedule in more fun, which sounds like the opposite, scheduling fun, but it does require you to open up your calendar a little bit and really look at, okay, what do we want to do? How can we have more fun? So there's that bonus in there that talks about having more fun as a family. And I'll put links to all of these in the show notes. Okay, so the podcast, the Take Back Your Family's Time Guide. The third thing is our Family Brand Digital Academy. We call it the Family Brand Academy. And it is a digital program, and we are reshooting it as we speak. So this will be the third iteration of the Family Brand Academy. And every time we shoot it, we reshoot it every few years. Our effort is to, how can we take, what have we learned over the last few years, and how can we add this new content into the Family Brand Academy? Also, how can we make this more streamlined? Is there any fluff that isn't going to move the needle for a family that we can take out? Because we realize like how valuable your time is and how busy families are, like I mentioned before. And we want to like make this process as easy and as fast as possible. And so our new Family Brand Academy is going to do just that. You're going to get results faster, quicker, easier. And kind of the outcome of the Family Brand Academy is we walk you through exactly how to do it and make it so easy, how to develop your family's mission. What is your family's vision? Who do you want to be as a family? What about your family values? How can you create family values that will guide your family? And even if you have, I hear this from families as they say, well, we have a few values, but we don't quite like have it all dialed in. Like, just join the program and let us like hold your hand and walk you through it. Because a lot of families, this is something that's really easy to say, we will get to it eventually, and then never do. And so let this be the time that you get to it, and let that time be now. So we'll talk about your mission, vision, values inside of that digital program. And we're also talking about your family culture and really examining that, and also your family identity, which is huge right now. Especially, we don't just go into your family identity, like who you are as a family and who you want to be, but we talk about the individual identity of each member of your family, which for any of you that have teenagers is so huge right now. I know for me personally, who, as I'm raising my teenagers, it's so easy for them to grasp onto what they're seeing outside of themselves and trying to find like, well, maybe this is who I am, or this is my identity here, and looking outside of themselves for who they are. But we break it down really easy to how can you help your child know who they are, love who they are, believe in who they are. That is something we touched on in prior editions of the Family Brand Academy, but we are really going deep in on this time. And the length of the academy, if you're just doing the digital program, it's at your own pace. If you got serious about it, you could get through all the content in a day. Most families like to spend a couple hours every week. It would take you, 4 or 5 weeks to get through it. So that's the third one. It's the Digital Academy, DIY at your own pace. But there's a workbook, there's videos, and we walk you through all of it. Families have great results just doing it on their own. The third way is that same digital program that I just explained, but it is with a group coaching component as well. And this honestly is my favorite thing. I think it's so fun because you go through the digital content on your own with your family, and then we're getting on coaching calls every couple of weeks. Currently, we're doing them on Sundays because Sundays just feels like a good day to build stronger families. And it's a day where families aren't already overscheduled with sports or whatever else, will fill your family's time. So we have those group calls on Sundays in the afternoon or evening, depending on what your time zone is. And we go through the content and people ask questions, and you get to see other families and see, oh, this other family is maybe struggling here, and I am too, and I'm not the only one. Let's see, like, what is this family doing to help with this challenge? Or maybe a family went through the same thing you're going through a year ago, and they're like, okay, yeah, let me tell you what we did. It's just a super cool. Everyone that we get into the Family Brand Academy is always very high vibe and encouraging, and I love it so much. Another new thing we're adding, so we're kicking off a live group on August 11th, and another new thing we're adding is more support within that group coaching program. And I've been a little hesitant to, I know families are busy, and I've been a little hesitant in past coaching groups that we've done to hold people accountable to like getting the work done, because I'm like, well, I know you're busy, but I'm not going to do that this time. So this is going to be fun. We're going to have more accountability, but also more support. You'll have check-ins with a coach. I have two other incredible coaches that are going to help me out, Meg and Lex. So you'll have check-ins with a coach, and you'll be able to get help like every week if you're struggling or have challenges, or maybe you're just crushing it and someone that's in your corner and saying, go you're doing amazing. So I'm really excited for that change within the digital or the group program. And again, that launches August 11th. And I have a discount code for you that is really, really good. So the discount code is POD80. I'll put it again in the show notes, but that will give you 80% off of the program for the 11th. And I only give that discount to the podcast or people that, like, if I'm meeting with them like live and in person, then I'll give them, or virtually in person, then I give them that discount. So that's not for everyone, but if you're listening to the podcast, I want you to have that, and I want you to come join us on August 11th. And I'll link to the page where you can read more about it. But come join us. And then that was the fourth thing. And then the fifth thing is we have a retreat coming up, an in-person live couples retreat. It's a couples retreat in Hawaii. And so we're putting this on. We did one in March with Dan and Renee Martel, and we're doing it with them again, and it's going to be in March. They were in charge of that one. I am in charge of this one, and it's going to be good. It's going to be really good. I'm really excited about it because Dan was like, hey, I want to do it in Hawaii. And of course, I lived in Hawaii, so I was on board. I love Hawaii. Actually, I was a little reluctant, honestly, because I'm like, no, but Hawaii is like my place where I just go and chill. And if I'm hosting a retreat, I won't be doing as much chilling there. But I've since come around to it because he's like, no, it's like that. I can only do it if it's in Hawaii because based on where he's traveling or whatever. So I'm like, okay, I will do it in Hawaii. And I do love Hawaii. So it's on the North Shore of Oahu. It's March 13th, 14th, and 15th. And it's at the Turtle Bay Resort. And it's going to be not only gorgeous, but we'll have great food. I'm trying to decide how much to like go into detail about it. So our last retreat in March, we attracted the coolest couples. It was limited to 10 couples. This one is limited to only 20. So if this calls to you, you definitely want to get in on it as soon as possible. Limited to 20 couples, and they are the coolest, again, high-vibing couples who a lot of them owned a business or business owners, entrepreneurs. Quite a lot of them actually were business owners, entrepreneurs whose spouse was the stay-at-home parent, which I thought was really cool. Not everyone, but there's a good mix of that, which if you're the stay-at-home parent listening to this, you should come to the retreat. It was fun because there was a lot of other, I would say the majority of them were women who were stay-at-home parents, and it was super cool to connect with other women of entrepreneurs because a lot of times they can there's not a lot of opportunities to connect with the wife of an entrepreneur if you're a wife of an entrepreneur, but it's really cool when you do because it's like you just get each other a little bit about the challenges of being married to an entrepreneur and running a business and you're taking care of the family. I do think it's a little bit unique, and so it was super cool to see all those women connecting in that way. And I know it can feel scary because, speaking from my own experience, like my husband who is the entrepreneur, Chris, he would always go to these events and they would be really, I don't know, he would come home and say how cool they were and how many amazing people he met and the growth that he had. And then here I am staying home, not getting access to that. And so when it would come time for me to go to something, I would be like, but I don't fit in. Like, I just stay at home and take care of our children. I'm not going to fit into these business settings. I don't have the right clothes to wear to these. I'm going to be like a fish out of water at those events. But it's not true. Like, if this calls to you at all, this retreat, you should totally come because there was so many other women who felt the same. And once they got there and like started meeting each other, they realized like, wow, I actually love this. So come to the retreat. And I would say it's for the couple who is in a good place, but you just know that no more is possible. You're continually seeking out the next evolution of your marriage or your relationship. And this is for you. Again, all that will be in the show notes. Isn't it cool that we have like so many great things coming to offer families? Okay, so the thing that I told you at the beginning that I'm going to come back in, that thing I teased at the beginning about something we experimented with time is during our kids' check-ins, we've kind of been wanting to, it's summer and I feel like my teenage boys in particular have been on their phones more. And I haven't been on top of it, maybe as on top of it as I could have been with how they're spending their time. And so we told them leading into their check-in, hey, we want to look at your screen time when you come into your check-in. And so we did. We looked at their screen time, and Chris and I were both like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're spending this much time on their phones. But the thing that I thought was also cool is that Chris and I were like, it would have been really easy for us to like preach at them. But I didn't want them to feel like that. And so Chris and I also got out our phones, also opened up our screen time. We did this in 2 separate conversations with each child. Opened up our phones, showed them our screen time. And even me, I was like, oh, there's some things I want to change here that when I'm looking at my screen time and I'm seeing that I want to kind of do better or do differently. And so I think that really helped, though, is not like feeling like we are a team, like let's tackle this together. And we encouraged one of our sons, we kind of made a list of like, okay, these are the things we know that you enjoy. Let's exchange some of this time here that you're spending on your phone. Let's exchange it for these things that I know you enjoy that you're not doing as much of. And you were only like 3 days in, but so far that's been happening for him. And the other thing we did was there's an app called Opal, and we put that on our phones too, and you can kind of set screen time limits on your phone. And I know they have, like we have iPhones. I know you can do this in Apple where you can just like shut it down and be like, screen time's over. But here's the challenge with that for me is Tate, my oldest, he just turned 17. And I realized that there comes a point in time where he's going to have to learn this on his own. And I'm not always going to have screen time privileges like locked up for him on his phone. And so it's kind of getting to that point with him especially. It's like, okay, I feel like I've kind of led in that way up into this point. Like, okay, screen time, it's locked down. You can't access it. But I realized I don't know if that's serving him as he gets older. And he's even told me before. So when I move out, I just suddenly have full access to my phone or what? And it really was a good question because I'm like, what is the path? What is the path to adulthood when it comes to screen time for him? And so I've been trying to be more lax, and being more lax got us where we are today, where they're spending like dozens of hours on their phone. So I'm like, okay, how can we continue to iterate and figure this out? How can we support him to support himself in a way that is going to serve him for the rest of his life? So again, that's like just having a little bit of accountability, knowing that we will be having a conversation about screen time, I think is helping. And we're doing that every week in this check-in. And then installing an app like Opal, but it's not something that I'm installing for him and telling him when he can or can't access his phone, but it's something that he's installing himself. And we worked through it together, saying like, hey, maybe it would be beneficial to set some downtime in the morning and then some downtime in the evening. And, we're coaching him through it. But I feel like this is so far been a really good opportunity for him to learn and grow on his way to adulthood. So I hope that helps someone out there who also, that's the interesting thing about raising kids today is we are raising them in the digital age where they are going to have access to phones. It is part of their life. But how can we do it in a way that just really serves them? So hope that conversation helps someone today. And please, I would love to have you join us in our next group program, especially on the 11th. Oh, I know. The other thing I was going to say, we are going away from, usually with the group program, I have a start date and an end date. So for example, this group or cohort is starting August 11th. We're all going through it at the same time. Everyone's in the same place on each call, meaning like Everyone's going through module 2 on call 2. Everyone's going through module 3 on call 3. But this is the last time I'm going to do that. So I think this would be a great opportunity to jump in where you can really build close connections with those groups. And just today, I saw a family that I'm friends with on social media that met in one of our former groups, and they were liking and commenting on each other's kids' back to school pictures. And I was like, that is so cool that they live in completely different parts of the country, but they've made this connection around family brand, and they're still friends. So if you want that kind of community in this way, this will be the last time we do it. Because in the future, it's just going to be open enrollment. You can kind of join in whenever you want. And you'll still make wonderful connections, but it just won't be quite as intentional with the same start and end date. So check that out at familybrand.com/program. Program for the digital program, and then the group program is familybrand.com/group. So yep, check it out, and we hope to see you in it. Have a great week. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Family Brand Podcast. To say thank you, we have something really awesome we'd love to share with you.
You know, we often hear from families who will tell us that they just feel so overwhelmed because of the demands that are placed on them. They feel like they're constantly being pulled in so many different directions and spread thin, and they're spending time as a family, but they don't feel like it's quality time. They're not really connected, and they want to be more intentional. And we can certainly relate because we felt like that at one point in our family. And so we created a guide that allowed us to really be more confident around how we spend time as a family and what we say yes to and what we say no to. And it's just brought so much more peace into our home. It's made our lives so much more simple, and we want to share it with you. So if you go to familybrand.com/free, you can download the How to Take Back Your Family's Time guide, and I can promise you it'll give you more confidence and more peace in your life and in your family.
One last thing, we feel so inspired when we hear from families that we are making a difference for them. We would love it if you would leave us a 5-star rating and a review on the podcast so we can reach even more amazing families. We truly believe that the way we change the world is one family at a time.